Most people believe public policy is shaped by elections, speeches, and laws passed in Parliament. Leaders announce priorities, legislatures debate bills, and votes are cast. On the surface, policy appears to move through visible democratic processes. But when you look closely at how policy actually takes shape, a different picture emerges. Public policy is rarely formed in a single moment. It is built gradually, long before a law is passed, and continues to evolve long after it is announced. The visible act of approval is often the final step in a process that has already narrowed choices, framed problems, and defined what is considered realistic. At the center of this process are institutions. Ministries, departments, regulatory agencies, and advisory bodies translate political goals into operational language. They determine what data is relevant, what risks are acceptable, and which trade-offs are unavoidable. This translation is not neutral. It shapes outcomes. Policy begins with problem definition. What counts as a problem determines what solutions are considered. Economic challenges can be framed as budget issues, productivity gaps, regulatory failures, or social concerns. Each framing points toward a different set of responses. Those who control framing wield influence before decisions even begin. Expertise plays a central role. Modern policy relies heavily on technical knowledge, economic modeling, legal interpretation, scientific assessment, and administrative feasibility. Policymakers depend on specialists to interpret complexity. As a result, those who control expertise help define what is possible and what is dismissed as unrealistic. Advisors and civil servants often shape policy options by determining which proposals move forward and which quietly stall. A policy may never be rejected outright. It may simply be labeled not viable, too risky, or premature. These judgments rarely attract attention, but they determine direction. Timing is another critical factor. Policies compete for limited attention, budgets, and political capital. Those who understand policy cycles know when to push ideas forward and when to wait. A proposal introduced at the wrong moment may disappear entirely, while the same idea, presented later, may succeed. Implementation further shapes policy. Once a law is passed, its meaning is defined by regulations, guidelines, and enforcement practices. Small administrative choices, definitions, thresholds, reporting requirements, can dramatically change impact. In many cases, the implementation stage matters more than the original law. Interest groups and stakeholders also influence policy, but not always in obvious ways. Their impact often comes through consultation, data provision, and technical input rather than public pressure. When policymakers rely on external expertise, those who supply information gain influence. Importantly, public policy is shaped by constraints as much as by intentions. Fiscal limits, institutional capacity, legal frameworks, and international obligations restrict what can be done. Policies that ignore these constraints tend to fail, regardless of political support. This explains why ambitious promises often produce modest results. It also explains why incremental changes can have lasting effects. Policy outcomes reflect what systems can absorb, not what leaders announce. Understanding who shapes public policy requires moving beyond the idea of singular decision-makers. Policy is the product of interactions between politicians, bureaucracies, experts, institutions, and incentives. Power is distributed across the system, not concentrated at the top. This does not mean democratic processes are irrelevant. Elections and legislation matter. But they operate within systems that filter, translate, and constrain political will. Ignoring these systems leads to unrealistic expectations and repeated disappointment. If we want to understand public policy, we must stop asking who passed the law and start asking who defined the problem, framed the options, managed the process, and controlled implementation. That is where policy is truly shaped. Public policy is not made in one place. It is made through systems. And to understand outcomes, we must understand those systems first.